Welcome to the Unscripted Woman Podcast, the show for women who are done living by the rules and ready to reinvent their lives from the inside out. If you're ready to design your next chapter on your own damn terms, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Unscripted Woman Podcast. Podcast meant for women to help them start living beyond the script that they've been told. Today, I'm being joined by Hope Pedraza. She is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, human design guide, clinical hypnotherapist, and host of the Hopeful and Wholesome podcast. She helps high-performing, spiritually curious women optimize their energy, rebalance their nervous system, and connect with their body's wisdom so they can scale their business and life without burnout. Her signature method blends functional labs, human design embodiment, frequency medicine, and subconscious reprogramming to create sustainable radiance from the inside out. Okay, I'm super excited for this conversation because all of that sounds fascinating.
Me too.
Yeah. So just to get started, if you want to let us know, how did you I'm familiar with human design. I don't know a lot about it. I know enough to know what I am and a couple of the things that it means, but it's so intricate and so in depth and so expansive. It's very intimidating. How did you find it? How did you get into it? And why? How did it change your life in doing that?
Yeah, so I found human design probably 5 or so years ago. I was working with a spiritual business coach at the time, and she wasn't a human design coach, but she just had this little piece of her program that was kind of just learning the basics of your human design. And it was enough for me to be like, okay, I need to know more. Like, I've got to know more. I've got to dive into this. And so that was just enough to kind of pique my interest. And from there, I just dove in and started reading all the books and listening to all the podcasts, and then decided that I wanted to really study it and be able to use it with my clients. For me, it was really validating, and I think that's the word a lot of people use when they first dive into human design. Is it's just validating. And it's a lot of people say that it's like giving them permission. It's like a permission slip. The validation for me was recognizing, like, this is my divine design, right? This is how it was divinely created. This is my unique design. And there are all these pieces that I know are a part of me, but I'd been shoving aside or shutting them up or quieting them down, or didn't want to accept these pieces. Where looking at it and learning about it, understanding it, it was right in front of me, like, oh, okay, like, this is me. This is how I was created. I don't have to push these things aside. Like, I can love and accept all of these different pieces of me, and I can embrace these pieces of me. So when I discovered it, I was kind of I was on, I think we're all always on a personal journey, but I was in this really deep part of my journey. A lot of things had happened in my business and my personal life, and so I was kind of rebuilding and relearning who I was and that kind of thing. So it came at really the perfect time, because I was learning to love myself again and learning about myself again. And so that was really, I think, the huge piece for me. And the more I dove in to my own chart and my own design, the more I knew I had to bring this into the work that I do with my clients, because I see it as such a huge piece of our own deep understanding of, like, I work with the physical side of the body, but then I also work with the energetic side of the body. For me, this was the piece I wanted my clients to understand when they're learning about their energetic side of their body. Like, if you really want to dive into the intricacies of yourself, this is it.
Okay. And when you started using it, how did it help you? Like, other than giving you permission to accept yourself for who you were, did you start implementing what you learned into your personal life and into your business?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the first things were really mostly about business for me. This was also when I was kind of going through my burnout journey, and I recognized and discovered that I was, like, really deep into adrenal burnout. Like, I had just run my body into the ground. And so this was, again, it was all divine timing, all of it, because I was discovering all these things about myself and then recognizing like, oh, okay, let me put this into practice. And as I'm trying to heal my body and figuring out how to be an entrepreneur and do all these things and not, run my body into the ground, let me put these things into practice. So yeah, for me, it kind of just started with, I think mostly with business and how it was designed to put my energy out there, how it was designed to show up, how it was designed to complete tasks, and like where my creative flow, how my creative flow is designed to move and where it comes from, and processing emotions and making decisions and all those little pieces. That was kind of where it started. And then the more I dove into that part, the more it ended up being just for me. Like, yes, it's great to implement it into my business, but I also realized like there's these pieces for me where I want to be able to discover, some of the maybe shadowy, more challenging parts and really be able to integrate those and understand those and the lessons that are available to me, rather than just looking at the like maybe light and fluffy side of things, because there's shadow and light to all things. And so I think it was taking a deeper dive into those pieces and being able to understand the lessons, and also kind of gleaning some lessons from hindsight, like, oh, all these things happened, quote unquote, happened to me. Like, why did these things happen to me? And it's just gave me a deeper understanding of the why and what lessons were available and how can I get the wisdom from those now. And yeah, it's just kind of been a journey ever since.
So, for those that aren't familiar with human design or are like me and really don't have, know just enough to be dangerous, how would you explain what it is in like a Cole's Notes version?
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, your human design is your energetic blueprint, is your soul's energetic blueprint. And it's how you were designed to be here on Earth. And so it combines some ancient schools of thought like astrology and the chakra system and the I Ching and the Kabbalah tree of life. And it puts it together with some modern day sciences like quantum mechanics and quantum physics and neuroscience. And it puts it together into this cool little chart. And like you said, the intricacies to this are unending. Like there's so many rabbit holes you can go down. So that you can go deep here. But also I find like with my clients, like yes, some of them want to go deep, but some of them just want like just give me the bird's eye view. Like give me a few things to so I can really take off with this. And those key things would be like learning your type, how you best make decisions, like the role you're here to play, like those kind of things. But then we can also go deeper and look at, I talked a second ago about the shadowy things, right? There's the core wound that's in there. Like what's the core wound, the lesson you're here to learn throughout your life? What's the message you're here to put out into the world? There's so many things we can gather from your chart, but it really is it is your energetic blueprint. It's how your energy is designed to move and to be and interact with the world around you, with the people around you, within yourself, with the universe. And there's just so many lessons in it.
So, I remember when I had my chart done, I wasn't aware of what time I was born. And it is so detailed. You have to know to the exact minute what your birth time is. And I actually ended up having someone go into my Akashic records and pull my birth time
Oh, amazing.
because there was my mother's like, I don't know, I think it was daytime.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Um, and I've been doing it off of that. So, what is your advice to someone who doesn't know their birth time? Like in my case, the hospital I was born at no longer exists. No idea where those records went. My mother has no idea what it was other than the day and possibly daylight.
Yeah.
So, how would someone, like, can someone do it without knowing their birth time or with
Yeah,
just having a
a
general
roundabout.
guess?
Yeah, you can. It's not going to be as accurate, obviously, but it's not going to be like massive, gigantic changes if it's, from beginning of the day to the end of the, because if you're within the day, it's going to be similar. Like there's a lot of nuance. So yes, you're going to get a lot more detail and more specific nuance, but I would say there's a few things like the way you did it is great. Like going to having someone, I had a friend who like went to like a psychic medium and like had her help her out. You can do like I've had people, use a pendulum and just kind of, ask yes or no questions until you kind of get to the roundabout hour-ish, right? So you can do those
Mm-hmm.
a few different ways. But yeah, if you know a general time frame and you have the day, you can get close and you can have enough to go off of and to get some good information. It's just not going to be as accurate as perfectly detailed.
Okay. Okay. So I sent you my Jovian chart. And for those that are wondering, Jovian is a website that is all about human design, and you can get your chart for free. So I sent you that. And so people could get an idea of what different things mean. I'm open to be very vulnerable and have my chart done with everybody listening. So if you could give some details from what you see on it and how you read it.
Yeah, yeah. So the way that I look at charts is different than a lot of other human design guides or human design readers or whatever title they like to call you like to call yourself. And the thing for me is because I'm a functional practitioner, when I'm looking at my clients and I'm looking at someone's chart, I'm also looking at it from a wellness lens because I've looked at labs or we're talking about what's going on in your body and things that you're dealing with in your body. And so for me, that's the lens that I typically look at the chart from. And so when I'm looking at my clients, I've already done either one lab or three labs. Like I've done some functional labs, so I know exactly what's going on in their body. And then I'm gonna connect what I saw in their labs to what it says on their chart. So I have this is exactly what's going on in your body. It's, your adrenals are doing this, your gut's doing this, your thyroid or whatever it is. Then I'm going to connect it to, okay, let's look and see how your energy is designed to flow. Like where are there blockages or where are things getting stuck? Like where are you living in, right? Where's the shadow side of the center showing up? So when I'm looking at your chart, kind of the high level things. So Jovian is a great website. There's another one, myhumandesign.com. I always recommend because she does a really good job of just kind of breaking it down very simply. Because as we've both said before, like this can get real granular real fast and it can get really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So just having something where you can just get kind of an overview is good. So if you're looking at your chart, just if you want to learn, like tell me the few things I need to know if I don't want to go down all the rabbit holes. You want to know your type, your profile, your authority, and probably your not self theme because I think that's important. So I'll break yours down for you. So Kelly is a generator and she's a 2-4 sacral generator. Generator is the type. There's 5 different types. The profile is going to look like a fraction. It's going to be 2 different numbers. And this is essentially the role you're here to play. And the 2 numbers are kind of your more conscious side of it and your more subconscious side of it. So how you see yourself on a really conscious level, and then how other people see you that may or may not be as conscious. Honestly, when you're basically 40 or older, both of these are pretty conscious. Like you're in your awareness enough where both of these are at a pretty conscious level, especially if you're a conscious person, right? So that's your profile. Your authority is how you are here to make decisions. So for you, you're a sacral authority. I'm also a sacral authority. And then the not self theme, the other part that I mentioned, this is essentially, like I tell my clients, it's like your compass. So the question everybody asks is, well, how do I know if I'm not in alignment? Like you talk about being in alignment with your design. How do you know if you're out of alignment? This is how you know. It's your not self theme. It's when you feel that feeling bubbling up inside of you, that's your sign that you're out of alignment. That's your sign where I need to reassess, I need to pivot, I need to figure out where I've missed the mark, where am I off? And so for you, it's frustration. Mine is also frustration. I'm a manifesting generator, so mine's a little bit different. There's more of an impatience, but it's still frustration. So that is your sign. That is your telltale sign. If you're feeling the feelings of frustration, you have you veered off the path, if you will. So this is kind of the sign of let me redirect, let me figure out where I got off. So starting with your type, you're a generator and you have a defined sacral, which by default makes you a generator. So if you're looking at your chart, it's going to have a bunch of different shapes. And if you're familiar with the chakra system, that's kind of where the chakra system comes into play because all of the shapes kind of correspond with one of the chakras. There's 9 centers here. And so the sacral is the second one from the bottom. It's going to be a square, kind of where it's like where your womb space is, if you're familiar with the chakras. And because your sacral is defined, that's what makes you a generator. So generator types, manifesting generators or generators, we have a defined sacral. The sacral center is this center for creativity, life force energy, sexuality, expression, like self-expression, that kind of thing. And so it's also the center for that gives you staying power. It's literally like your generator, like your internal generator that keeps you going. So if you're a generator type, we have a lot of staying power. So we can, for generators especially, you can pick up a project and you're going to see it through to the end. Like, I have the staying power, I have the drive and the will and the energy to do it. And I have the energy to be, I have consistent access to that energy. So I have consistent access to that creative drive, and that not to say people who don't have this defined don't have creative drive. You just don't have as consistent access to it. So when you have a defined center, and when I say defined, if you look at your chart, like yours is colored in red, depending on what site you go to, it's going to be filled in with a color. And that's defined. And that's really what is telling you I have consistent access to the energy that's available in the center. And so that's what that defined sacral means. Now, because you have a defined sacral and you don't have a defined solar plexus, which I'll get to in a second, this makes you a sacral authority. So that as your authority is how you're here to make decisions. This is a really crucial one for me. And like I said, these are probably one of the top 4 things. If I'm going to teach you nothing else about your chart, I at least want people to know these 4 pieces. When you have a sacral authority, it is a gut immediate response for you when you're making decisions. And the interesting, so this is a thing. I'm also a sacral authority, like I mentioned. This was a big thing for me because I am really good at overanalyzing. Like, I am really good at overthinking. And so this was a huge one for me because I'm used to like, thinking about it forever and like letting it. We are not, me and you as sacral authorities, we are not designed to make decisions that way. When we have a decision to make, it is going to come bam in the moment. It's a heck yes or it's a no. And if it's not a heck yes, like a full yes in your body, then it's a no. And that for me is the key, because sometimes I'm like, well, I don't know if it's a no, but if it's not a yes, then it's a no. And it's going to be that hit that you get, that gut feeling. Now, on contrast to that, the other most common, or the most common authority is emotional authority. And that's if you have your solar plexus defined. And emotional authority is kind of, maybe opposite is not the right word, but it's kind of the opposite of that, because emotional authority, your clarity on decisions comes with time. So you're not designed to make decisions in the moment. You're designed to, maybe you sleep on it. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's in a couple days. Maybe I just need to wait to the end of the day. But for you, you're designed to ride the emotional wave and get to an emotionally neutral place before making a decision. And I think this is so fascinating because if the majority of the population are emotional decision makers, essentially, our society is not built for that. Our society wants to, I want to know right now, what are you doing right now? Tell me right now, I need to know the answer. And the majority of the population are not designed to make decisions that way. So I think it's fascinating to read, like if you really want to understand this, like as a on a psychological level, or like understanding human psychology, I think this is fascinating because here we are, we want to rush people's decision-making process, but the majority of people are designed to take their time to make decisions. So anyway, getting back on track on yours, we are sacral authorities. So it's that full body, yes, no, making the decision. Do you find that that's how you, like, do you feel that's how you make decisions?
It is. And until I started looking at human design, I've always, and I mean, I still say it's my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very dialed into my intuition, but my intuition seems to be anchored in my sacral.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
it's like I know right away. I always say I can walk into a room and I know exactly the people that I want to meet and the people that I don't. And when someone asks me a question, I feel yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to say yes or let me think about it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And you already know the answer.
I
Yeah.
already know the answer, but I
Yeah.
just don't want to be confrontational in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I feel you. Well, the other interesting thing about your chart, so you only have 3 defined centers and all the rest are undefined. But one of your other defined centers, so the little triangle on the left is your splenic center, and your
Mm-hmm.
spleen is the center for your intuition. So of course you would say that too, because you have consistent access to that intuitive part of you, which is really cool. And then the other center that you have defined is your root center, which is the little square at the bottom. Which, if you're familiar with the chakra system, everyone listening, it's your root, right? I think most people are familiar with the chakra as your root chakra, your root center. Now, this one is interesting. And I would say the 3 that I hone in on the most, like coming from kind of my wellness lens, the 3 that I talk about the most are probably the root center, your sacral, and your emotional solar plexus. Those are probably the 3 that I talk about the most. Your root center, I talk about a lot because this is your center that is attached or tied to your adrenals. Our adrenals are responsible for the stress response. They're also responsible for a lot of hormones, especially as women, and even more hormones as women go into that perimenopause, menopause stage of life, right? Our ovaries stop producing estrogen and our adrenals kind of have to take over. And so the root center is really important. It's also our center for safety. It's that foundational piece. So it's safety, it's a groundedness. Like that's where that comes from. And in human design, it's considered a pressure center. So this is the pressure to do things, like to start doing things, to do things, to get things done. And there's two ways to look at this, whether it's defined or undefined, right? So yours is defined. So when your root center is defined, the pressure is an internal pressure. It's an internal drive to get things done. So it's not looking outside of yourself, but it's just this internal drive that you have to get things done. Now, the kind of the shadow, if you will, or the challenge that can come from this side of a defined root center is knowing when to stop. Because sometimes you have that internal thing telling you to go, but then it doesn't always tell you when to stop. And you keep going until you maybe burn yourself out. So that's what could happen there. But it's an internal drive to get things done, as opposed to, like, I have mine is undefined, my root center. And so if you have an undefined root, it is an external pressure to get things done. So what that looks like is a lot of times it's seeing what everybody else is doing and have to keep up. I have to keep going because they're doing this and they're doing this and I have to keep up. So it's this kind of futile drive to keep up with everybody else. And that is one thing that I really had to work on when I was working through kind of deconditioning a lot of my stuff, was like the comparison thing was huge, and that was a driving factor for a lot of the things that I did. So it's that external pressure. But for yours is an internal pressure. And does that resonate? Feeling that internal?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one I mentioned was the emotional solar plexus. So yours is undefined. Mine is also undefined in my chart. So your emotional solar plexus is on the right side. So it's the little triangle to the right. Now, I love talking about this one. Well, first of all, it's all about emotions, and this is important. But the other reason I love to talk about it is because when we're looking at it as it connects to your physical body, to your physical wellness, the I just realized I left something about the sacral, but I'll go back. Your emotional solar plexus is connected to a handful of your detox organs. And I love talking about this because we talk about emotions and how it's, emotional intelligence and how important it is to feel our emotions and not suppress them and all that. And yes, all of that is important. The other thing that I want to make clear here, when you are suppressing, repressing, stuffing down, holding in emotions, like I said, this is connected to a handful of your detox organs and also your pancreas, which is responsible for insulin and regulating your blood sugar and all that. When you are holding things in, you are literally affecting how your body is detoxing, how your body is eliminating toxins, excess hormones, all of those things. And I see this over. I mean, this will show up on people's functional labs. Like it will show up. There's signs I see that where I know, okay, we have let go of emotional boundaries. We're holding on to other people's emotions. We're feeling responsible for other people's emotions. And we start talking. And of course, that's what's happening in their life. And it's been like this pattern that's gone on for, however many years. So the emotional solar plexus is a huge opportunity for deconditioning and letting go. And so for you and me, because both of us have this undefined, when you have it undefined, we are very open and vulnerable to other people's emotions and energy. Like we are taking that in, processing that. Sometimes it gets a little convoluted, like what's mine and what's somebody else's, right? Well, we are feeling all of it, like the highest highs and the lowest lows. And not to say people with the defined center don't feel all the things. We feel it just on a different level. It's just a different capacity. And if we're not careful, we do hold those on as our own when they're not. Does that resonate with you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an empath, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is directly related to that.
100%. Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, if, I know someone who passes, I cannot go to the funeral home in the funeral because it's just too overwhelming. There's too much happening. I'm absorbing too much. You try to shield yourself, but it doesn't always work, or it's not quite enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah, it can be tough. It can be tough. Well, and the other thing with your chart, you have a lot of openness in your chart. So, like I said, you only have three defined centers. So you have one, two, three, four, five. All the other six are undefined. And so that's also, like I said before, with the defined versus undefined centers, we're taking in energy in those centers and that's not ours. So that would make you feel like sensitive to people, environments, like that kind of thing. So that makes complete sense. Okay, so moving on to one other thing I want to say about the sacral. The sacral center, which I forgot to say, is this a reason why I look at this one a lot with my clients. Your sacral center is connected to your reproductive organs. And so the sacral is the one I started talking about first, right? This is the center for sexuality and creativity, life force, self-expression, that kind of thing. This is your sacral. So for me, I also want to say this. The sacral is also the energy center where the emotion shame lives. I find it no coincidence that so many women deal with fertility issues, reproductive issues, hormonal things, period things, all of those things. When you think about all what's happening in your sacral center and all the conditioning that we're born with, like it's in our cells, in our DNA, we are born with shame in our cells, in our DNA as women. Like it's no surprise to me why so many women deal with so many female hormone things. And so this is a center that I focus on a lot for that reason. And there's a lot of deconditioning and stuff that happens around that center. And it explains a lot of why women deal with so many of the things that they deal with. And yeah, okay, so those are the centers. I could talk about this all day. The other thing I want to talk about, so I haven't talked about your profile yet. Your
Actually,
profile. So those,
sorry, before you get
yeah, go
into my
ahead.
profile, can I
Yes,
ask a question?
please.
Because I know that my G center
Mm-hmm.
is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my understanding that, and I could be wrong, of course, because like I said, I don't know much about this. Is it uncommon to have wide open centers, not just undefined, but
Yeah,
like
I mean,
completely blank?
it's not as common. It happens. I mean, I've had plenty of clients who have some centers who are totally open. It happens. It's not super duper common because yeah, you have zero defined gates in that center. So it is completely open. So it's not like oh it never happens, but it's not super common. Usually you have at least like maybe one or two defined gates. And just for reference, everybody listening, the gates are the little numbers. So you have all the different shapes, all the numbers as are gates, and it corresponds to a different like astrological gate. So that's what those are. But yeah, it is very interesting. Well, especially you as a generator, you have a lot of openness for a generator, like a lot of openness in your chart for a generator, which is really interesting. And so that is, yeah. And so the G center is that center that's right in the middle. So if you're looking at your own chart, it's the little, like a diamond kind of shape. I guess it's a diamond. Yeah. Right there in the middle. And yours is completely open. Yeah. And even in your heart, you only have one gate defined. I mean, you have a lot of openness there, just kind of in the middle of your body, which is really interesting.
And
Yeah.
what is the G center? What does that represent?
Yeah, so that's the center for your like self identity. And do you feel like in your life you've kind of had this fluidity in your identity? Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we chatted the first time, I mentioned when I had my initial reading done and she told me what it was about. And I said to her, so would that be why I had like 50 jobs in my life?
Yeah, that's
Because you're
it.
just constantly flowing from one thing to the
Yeah, you're
next.
just kind
And
of redefining
what's
yourself and
new? And oh, this looks
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I love that. That's it. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing I love about human design because like that part of you, you're like, "Oh, I've had all these gajillion jobs and I've redefined myself all these times." And by like conventional, I don't know another word besides that, like societal standards, somebody from the outside might look in and be like, she can't hold a job down, or she can't make a decision, or she can't decide, or she can't, right?
Mhm.
And I, as a manifesting generator, I feel the same because we, as a manifesting generator, we're like, we have like squirrel brain. We're like ADHD, like manifested in human form. We're like, do
Mhm.
25 things at one time and we change directions and do. And so that was a huge deconditioning piece for me is because I'm also not designed to finish a task to completion. We might start things but not finish it. And again, by external societal perspective, I might be like, well, she can't finish anything she starts, and she can, but this is the beauty of human design, is that we get to see this as, this is my gift. Like for you, you've been able to define yourself however many different times and had all these jobs, and think about all the things you've learned and the wisdom you've gained from all of them,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's compounded and built on each other to make you who you are. Like you can see it as a gift and as this beautiful part of you, and not as this thing that society may be like, well, why is she, so I
Mm-hmm.
love these pieces and being able to understand and look at it from that lens and saying, like, how do I see this as a gift and as this beautiful piece of me versus something that like society thinks this or that about that, right? It's all
Mm-hmm.
about the deconditioning and how you are able to work with these, because there's no good or bad parts of your chart. It just is, like, it is,
Mm-hmm.
this is what it is. So it's just how to understand it and love it and use it to see it as these just beautiful, unique parts of you. So I love
Yeah.
that.
I always remember saying I just got bored fast.
I love that. Yeah.
I would learn
Yeah.
everything I needed to know, and then it would be like, well, now what? you
And
know?
that is your generator energy. Because that,
Yeah.
as a generator, you are here to do what lights you up and brings you pleasure. And when it's not, you move on to the next thing. Like that's how you're designed to, whether you unknowingly or not, you were living out your generator energy. It's like, okay, I'm bored now. Let's do something else fun. Like that's literally how you're designed to move through the world. So you were living
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, I've done well then.
Yeah, you've done well. I love that.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead with
No,
the
no.
rest of it.
Yes. So the profile is the next one. And yeah, interject. Like I said, I could talk about this all day. So interject your questions as I'm going deep into
Okay.
this. So your profile, so you're 2-4. My husband is a 2-4. So I can speak to a lot of this from experience living with the 2-4.
Uh-oh.
And it's funny because, well, I say that because my profile is a 3-5. And historically, like when you read the texts, 2-4s and 3-5s are can be like this, like resistance, because the way we do things are so different.
Mhm.
So 2-4, so you have the two numbers, and I don't get caught up in the first number, second number, because you're embodying both. And like I said, pretty much if you're like 40 or over, or even you don't even have to be 40. I would say if you're in your 30s or so, you're more embodied in who you are anyway. So both of these are going to be kind of conscious. So you're a 2-4. So you are the two line is the natural. Like things just come natural to you. You're good at things and you're like, I don't know why I'm good at it. I just am. Like you can explain why you're good at things. People see you and recognize your gifts as you being good at things. And a lot of times, maybe it's been a case where I don't necessarily see the value in myself, but other people do. And that's how it's been for my husband. And over the past 2 years, I'm always like, not like he really wants to know, but I teach him anyway about his stuff. Where I'm like, this is your 2-4. Like they're seeing your gifts and they're calling you forward, right? So that's the 2. The 4 is considered the networker. You are like the person who connects people to each other. All the opportunities and success that you've had is because of it's like within your network. Like that's how you build your life, your success, your all the things. It's from your network. So putting those two together, those two things work together, and it's how you're designed to show up, and it's how you're here to be. So the networker I find is really unique because, like, my husband, I always knew that about my husband is like this most social guy. I am an introvert. He is the total opposite of that. And so he's always been the one that has, 50 different friend groups, and it's always all the jobs have been because he's known somebody, and like that is how you're designed to live out. Does that resonate with you?
My mother always says, how do you know everyone?
It's
Because I'll
exactly
be
what I tell
like,
my husband.
yeah, oh, you need a mechanic? I know a guy.
Yeah,
Oh, you need someone to do your
it's
roof? I know
exactly
a
it.
guy. You need
It's
someone to do your
exactly
furnace?
it.
I know a guy.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And it's funny because when my husband, he worked for a company out of Philadelphia for a while, and anyway, he ended up quitting there because they were doing all these layoffs. And he had this period of time where he was really trying to force things to happen. And I kept telling him, like, you just need to be patient because you're not here to go seek it, like cold calling, that kind of thing. Like, that's not the vibe of the 4 line, like the cold
Mhm.
calling, reach out kind of thing. It's just not the vibe. And I kept telling him, just wait, like something. And sure enough, his brother ended up being his brother. There's all these things orchestrated, but he waited for somebody to recognize his gifts as a 2 line, him being the natural that he is, And then it was within his network in every position he's ever had. And as I told him, you recognize every position you ever had, it's because you knew somebody or you knew somebody who knew somebody. Like that's just how you build your life. So the 2-4. So here's the other thing about, or the one thing I wanted to say, how me as a 3-5 and the 2-4, like you can. So the 2-4, something, one of your like quirky things is 2-4s don't really love change. And you like, I don't know if structure is exactly the right word. Structure might be the right word I'm looking for. But you like to know, like, unexpected things aren't, you don't jive with those a lot, like the unexpected. And so, if you're 2-4, you like to know. And I think that's one thing with my husband when he was waiting for another job. You like to have the one thing lined up before the other thing is done. Like, I don't want to move on yet until I have the next thing lined up, right? And me as a 3-5, I'm considered like the great experimenter, where I'm just like, let's try it and see what works. Like, let's do this. Let's try this tomorrow. I don't want to do this today. Let's do that. Like the complete opposite. So I'm like the spontaneous squirrel brain, and he's like, so you just have to understand each other's energy. And this is another beautiful thing about human design, is like understanding if you have a partner or a spouse, or even like, a business partner or somebody you work with closely in business or your career. It can be a really crucial thing to understand how you're each wired, to know how to like play off of each other's energy and be patient with each other's energy. Because I have to do that with myself. I have to rein it in sometimes. Like, okay, hold on. He's not going to like if I do this thing without, telling him ahead of time, and he's not prepared. Like, preparation is key, like having the 2-4, being prepared. Does that resonate with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do it's another podcast, but it's like a live stream to a page. And my partner in that, he must be a 3-5
Yeah.
because he's just like, yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what I'm like.
See what happens.
Just tell me where I need to be and what time. Yeah, I'll let you know, up until 2 hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it drives me crazy. And he knows it drives me crazy, and he laughs because, it's just fun.
Yeah.
But I need to know. I'm the planner, right?
Yes, exactly.
I go away and I know exactly where I'm going and how much it is and what activities I'm going to do and what I'm taking.
That's him too. Heaven forbid we have like spontaneous anything, right? That's it. Yeah. Which, I mean, once we're in it, it's like he can be open to it, but that also requires preparation. Like, okay, let's be prepared to be spontaneous, for like traveling or something. It's like, okay, maybe we don't have an agenda today,
Yeah.
So that's the 2-4. That's you.
Nice. And my friends love it because they can just show up and everything's taken care of.
Oh, that's perfect.
I've booked the flights, I've booked the hotel, I've booked the excursions, I've talked to people.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's funny. So I have a question. Now, hereditary, is there any hereditary link to human design? Because my eldest son's chart is almost identical to mine.
Interesting.
Like it could, I'm talking maybe a couple gates different. He's even a wide open G.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's defined root, defined sacral, defined what's the spleen, open G. Like he's got a couple gates I don't have on other ones, but other than that, it's exactly the same.
That's wild. I don't know the answer to that, because I think there could be, because like my kids are completely opposite of mine. Like, I mean, sure, we have some similarities, but like my son is a projector, which is completely opposite of a manifesting generator. Like so I would say that there's probably some truth to that, but I also think like, as there's genetics, right? We have genes that are going to influence our personality, that kind of thing. So I do think like, even if our charts there's not like a genetic component to the chart per se, obviously there's still going to be things that carry over like personality wise, because it's just in our DNA and that can impact it. I feel like that would be a really fascinating study though, to see like how many genetic things there are with our charts, because my husband and I are both manifesting generators, and our kids are complete opposite, like different types and authorities and all of that. So it's ours are very different, but I feel like that would be a really interesting study. That's fascinating that y'all's are so similar. That's very cool.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I just was like, wait a minute. And I put them side by side because I thought I copied the wrong one.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, Oh, and he's so much like me. So
That's
it makes
so
sense. But
funny. Yeah, it does make sense.
yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
it really surprised me. So I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
if that was something that, I gifted him or
Yeah,
if it
it's
was
just a
just a
gift. Yeah.
coincidence.
Both.
So for people that are listening that are interested in how human design can be used in their business and in their personal life. I mean, you mentioned using it to incorporate health, using it to work on the shadows and stuff. But when it comes to business, for example, how can someone incorporate their human design into what they're doing and how they're doing it to make it better for them?
Mhm.
Like someone's self-employed and they're trying to figure out, they want a new venture. What should I do? How should
Mhm.
I do it? That sort of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
What what aspects from human design can be suggested that they focus on
Mhm.
in order to make that happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the type for me is always first, like just knowing your type and understanding kind of who you were here to be. So, for example, you're a generator, you're the doer. You are here to do the thing. You are doing, you're making the things, you're doing the things. Manifestors is another type. Manifestors are the visionaries. So you have the vision, you're the initiator. You're not necessarily doing all the things to completion. That's what generators do, but you have the vision. So typically it's like the manifestor has the vision. The generator is going to do the thing to fulfill the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Manifesting generators are kind of a sort of a combination of those two because we are doing the things, but we also do have the vision. Like it's kind of a combo thing. Projectors are here to be the guides. So projectors, you're not saying projectors aren't here to do anything at all, like sit around twiddle their thumbs, but projectors are here to be the guides. So it's my when a mentor of mine, this always stuck with me. She gave this image of like birds on a wire, of just kind of looking and not in a hierarchy way, but just kind of overseeing. Like, well, here's how we can make things better here, and here's how we can make things better here. So they're here to guide and oversee. That's what projectors are here for. And then reflectors, you are here to reflect back what you see in the world. So reflectors have a completely open, all their centers are undefined. So you're really just here to reflect back of what you're seeing in the world and how things can improve. And so I think knowing your type, first of all, can kind of give you a little bit of direction, right, on where you're going with your, career or business or whatever. And then I think the second, well, your authority, I always say authority just to know how to make decisions when you're making decisions of what to do and how to do it. And I think the other big part would be your profile, which are what I described you with the 2-4, you as the 2-4, because your profile, I mentioned this before, but it's who you're here to be, who you see yourself as and how other people see you. So it's like the role you're here to play out for other people as well. So for me, there's a lot of wisdom in the profile and just understanding what am I here to do? Like why am I here? What is the role I'm here to fulfill, right? What is kind of your dharma? And there's some other places we would look at for your dharma, if you will. But I think that plays a big part just to know what my role is and then how to do it. So like for me as a 3-5, the 3 line is the experimenter line. So in business, I am literally designed to fail forward. Like do it, fail, and then try something else again. Like it's just one great experiment. So just keep trying things and trying things and trying things. And then with the 5 line, I'm here to share that and kind of turn it into wisdom and to be the leader and the kind of disruptor. Like I figure out new ways of doing things and I share that to be the disruptor. Like that's what I'm here to do in my business. That's how I'm here to. So knowing those pieces and knowing what the wisdom that your profile holds can give you a lot of insight in just who you're here to be and the role you're here to play out. There's a couple gates too and different. So your let's see, I'll look on yours. I think I saw yours on here. Yeah. So the incarnation cross, yours shows up. And I don't know all the incarnation crosses by heart, but yours is the right angle cross of Eden. It's basically a combination of 4 different gates. But your right angle cross, or your incarnation cross, I mean, your incarnation cross could be another part to look. And this, again, is kind of going down a rabbit hole. You don't have to go down, but this could be another place to look because this is basically kind of your like where you're going in life, your lessons, and how you're here to live out your life. Like that's what's in your. So for me, mine is a writing across of the sleeping phoenix. And so think of a phoenix, right? It burns and rises again. That's the theme of my life. That's basically what it is. Like the theme of my life is I burn it down and I it am raised from the ashes. And I've done that multiple times in my life. So it's kind of the theme of your life. And so that can also give you some insight on what to bring into whatever business venture or career goals that you might have. It's just kind of, what's the theme? What's of your life? Like, what are you here to play out? And that can give you some direction as well.
Okay. So people who are curious about what they've heard today, how on what different levels can they work with you? Different
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah. So if you want, I have just a basic reading. So I do that. I do it either as a recording or I do it as a one-on-one session if you want to be able to ask questions and stuff. So if you want just the human design part, I have that. And then all of my work ties human design into it. So I have multiple programs and one-on-one offerings where I tie together all the things I do the functional labs and I tie it into the human design so you can see why your physical body is functioning the way it is. And like, if we talk about root cause, if you really want to get to the root cause, for me, it's putting those energetic pieces to it. And so it's understanding how your body is working at an energetic level, how it's designed to actually work on an energetic level, and have that be the driving factor for how we heal things that are going on in the physical body. And so I tie human design into all the work that I do with my clients in my one-on-one programs as well.
For those that aren't aware, can you tell us what functional medicine is?
Yes. So essentially, functional medicine is this deeper understanding of how your body is functioning, right? So, functional labs, and I've used that word a couple of times here.
Mm-hmm.
Functional labs, if we're looking at functional labs versus conventional labs are really just for diagnosis and disease, right? It's to see, like, are you sick or are you not? And most of the time, like the ranges that are set for conventional labs are for an that's not a right word, an average healthy person, which really and truly, it's like when you're looking at conventional ranges and they, doctors say everything's fine. Well, it's like really they're saying like, well, you're not dead, like you're alive and you don't have a disease for me to diagnose. So here we are. Functional labs are looking for actual functions. So the women I work with high performing women. Most of them are entrepreneurs, career driven, goal oriented. They don't want to know if they're not sick. They want to know, like, how is my body functioning? Like, how can I get to optimal? How can I optimize what I've already done? Like what I'm already doing? How is my body actually functioning? And for me, that's the only way for us to heal chronic disease is to understand how your body's functioning. Not is it sick or not. I want to know how it's functioning. How are my adrenals functioning? How are my hormones functioning? My gut, my thyroid, like all these pieces. So that's really the biggest difference. So functional medicine, we talk about functional medicine or functional nutrition, it gets all for function. Like it's optimizing function and not just diagnosis or disease.
So when you say functional labs, are those done the same as regular labs with like a blood draw and things like that?
So the labs I do, no. Typically I'll with a lot of my clients they'll get blood labs with their regular doctor and I'll look at those, but blood labs are really the like I want to say maybe the least effective way to look at function. Yes, it's possible and it can give you good data, but if you're looking at blood labs alone, it's really missing a huge piece of the puzzle. The functional labs I do, the three main ones that I do, one of them is a hair tissue and mineral analysis. You're literally sending in some of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a GI map, which is a poop test. So you're sending in, it's a poop sample. And then the other one is called a Dutch test, and it's a dried urine test. So you pee on some paper, basically. It's really simple. But all of those, looking at different types of bodily fluids, if you will, are
Mm-hmm.
going to give a different picture. And the way that these labs are done, it's just a much more comprehensive look at what's going on with your hormones or your gut or your minerals or your detox load and all or your toxicity load, all those things. So it's a different, deeper look. And most of them too, it's a better look at what's going on chronically over time. Because when you do a blood lab, it's like right now, this is what's happening in my body right now. Because I could take the same blood lab tomorrow, it could say something totally different
Mm-hmm.
based on what I ate or how I slept or if I was stressed, last night. So these functional labs are going to give a better look at what's going on chronically over time rather than just like a in the moment snapshot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to obviously have all of your social links in the show notes, but for those who don't feel like reading them, where can people find you?
Yeah, I am most active on Instagram. I'm at the Hope Pedraza. And my website is hopefulandwholesome.com. And then I have a podcast by the same name called Hopeful and Wholesome.
And you have a program that is available to listeners for free with a code.
Yes, I believe it was the Becoming Her program is what I always forget which one I talk about. Yeah, so that one I actually absolutely love. It's a 30-day program. It basically combines a lot of the things we talked about today. So it's kind of breaks it up into things with the physical body. I touch on a lot of human design things and then kind of energy and emotions and the mind. And yeah, it's just a bunch of different experiments over me as the great experimenter. I'm giving that to you as an experiment, trying different practices and modalities and things for 30 days to see what works for you as you become the version that you are wanting to be.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. And I just want to tell everybody, if you enjoyed this, please make sure you hit the like, comment, um, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff. And uh, thanks for being here. I hope
Thanks,
everyone found
Kelly.
it as interesting as I did, because, this stuff just fascinates me. I just wish I could learn more about it, but squirrel brain doesn't allow it. So,
Thanks, Kelly. This is great.
and we will see everybody next time. Bye.